It's time to chat August reading plans. Let's do it. Hi guys, welcome back, bienvenue and all that jazz. It's time to talk about some books. Or specifically, we're talking about the 10 books that I am auspiciously hoping to get to in the month of August. It's a mix of arcs, some young adult, some read-along-y goodness, some series completingness. So we're trying to read all the things. So let's just jump in. The first thing that I hope to get to in the month of August is The Art of Prophecy, a new book coming out on August 9th by Wesley Chu. It's the start of a new series. I don't know how long the series is supposed to be, but it sounds like it's supposed to be magic mixed with martial arts. It sounds like there is a young, spoiled, prophesied child heir thing that is supposed to take over and help defend against this immortal god king. And there is this surly martial arts master lady that's supposed to help get him ready for it. So I'm just here for the martial arts and the magic and the fun times. It just sounds really great. And so I can't wait to get to that. And then the next thing that I hope to get to is Furysong by Rosaria Munda. This is book 3, the conclusion to the Aurelian Cycle trilogy. So that is Fireborn, Flamefall, and then Furysong, which again comes out on that same day, August 9th. And so I read books 1 and 2 in the month of July, and they are fantastic, but sad AF. So if you are looking for happy hope, I don't know, these books really don't give me that vibe. They are very much just hard-hitting, really fascinating looks at different aspects of political governing and stuff like that. So if you don't know, Fireborn book 1 takes place after this very bloody and violent revolution has taken place to overthrow these old dragon lords. So the society used to be set around these kind of ruling class lords that had their dragons, and then there was everybody else. And so any kind of lord-based system, there is huge inequality, lots of oppression, and just not good times that you'll find out more about as you go through the story. So we follow 2 different main perspectives. We follow Lee and Antigone, Annie. And so Lee is kind of almost like the lost heir trope. He is the son of one of these old ruling houses who managed to somehow survive the purge of this old ruling class. And then Annie was born in a serf family. And so you get to kind of see these 2 differing perspectives and looks on what happened in the past with the old ruling system and how that is being carried into their perceptions of the now, and also looking at how things aren't perfect even now. And so there's all of these questions of what makes a good society, what is the best society, what benefits the most people. It's just a really interesting look at all of those things, but there's also dragon riding competition, there's twists, turns, political maneuverings, but it is all so sad. So just be ready going in if you're going into either of these books or this trilogy as a whole. It's not very happy. I'll be very curious to see how Rosaria Munda ties it up, because it is published by Penguin Teen, so it is geared towards a young adult audience, but it has such a nuanced, fascinating look at this political system and childhood trauma. So I'll be curious to see how it wraps up. If it's happy, not happy. I know Elle has already read it, and she said that it's the perfect mix of triumphant but depressing. So we'll see. And then I'd like to get to an arc that I got from Orbit from last month. It's a new book that just came out, The Book of Gothel by Mary McMyne, which is a fairy tale Rapunzel retelling, but from the perspective of Gothel, which is the witch who steals Rapunzel. So it's kind of told from the villain perspective, and I haven't heard really anybody talking about this one way or the other. So I'll be really curious to see how I feel about it. But the cover looks cool. I like fairy tale retellings. I like villain stories, so we shall see. Then the conclusion of the Book of Tea duology is coming out in the month of August on August 23rd. And so that is A Magic Steeped in Poison is book 1, and then book 2 is A Venom, Dark and Sweet, both by Judy Lynn. I read book 1 back when it came out earlier this year, and I have the arc for book 2, and I've been really curious to pick it up, because the ending of book 1 made me really excited for what was happening in book 2, and since it's just a duology, it should be real quick. nice fun read to slip up in there. The Book of Duology follows a main character whose mother and sister have been affected by this poison because her mother was this practicing Shannon, which is basically like a mystic tea maker who can channel her magic through tea. And so somebody was going around poisoning the tea blocks, and so her mom died and her sister is very ill because of that poison. And so our main character hears about this competition happening in the main city to become Shannon to the princess. And if you win this competition, you get to ask for a favor from the royalty. And so she hopes to win and ask for that favor in order to save her sister's life. And while we're in this magical tea making competition, there are layers of political things happening in the kingdom at large that start to be revealed. And it really starts to get real exciting towards the end of the book. So I'm so excited to see what happens in the conclusion of this series, because there's definitely some magical shenanigans happening that I need to know. Then this month I'm participating in the read-along hosted by Angela over at Literature Science Alliance. There's a group of us that are doing a second Era Mistbron read-along. So we'll be reading one of these books per month with a live show towards the end of the month that I'll post over in the community tab when it's coming up so that you can join in on those live shows if you are so inclined. But we are reading Second Era Mistborn by Mr. Brandon Sanderson, leading into the release of the fourth and final book in that series, The Lost Metal, which comes out in November. So if you want to hop on the Second Era Mistborn train and join along for those read-alongs, I'll post the details as I get them, along with live show dates and all that kind of stuff. So I'm really excited to check that out. I would say that you could theoretically jump into Mistborn Era 2 without reading Mistborn Era 1. However, a lot of the world building, a lot of the magic is set up in Era 1, and there are lots of callbacks to characters and things that had happened in Era 1. So I would say you really, really should read Era 1 first to have context for what's happening. But it is 300 years after the end of the events in Era 1, and so the characters are not the same, all of that kind of stuff. It's very different vibes, where Era 1 is much more like gothic-y vibes. I would say Era 2 is much more Western vibes. And so I'm excited for it. I don't remember very much. I have read Era 2 before, but like the memory, she is not what she once was. So I'm excited to jump back into it. Then I'll be concluding my read of the Legends of the First Empire series by Mr. Michael J. Sullivan. I didn't quite manage to squeeze it in July, so I will be reading Age of Death and Age of Empire in the month of August instead. If you want more deets on that series, I'll link my July reading plans down below and my spoiler-free review of Book 1, Age of Myth. But basically, it is a epic high fantasy series looking at how the Empire in Michael J. Sullivan's Rhyuria universe was originally set up. There is war between the humans and the elf-like fray. There's the gods among us trope, dragons, cool magic, characters, lots of emotional gut punches and reveals and drastic things. Not everybody is safe. So good. Anyways. Then I'd like to continue my reread of the Keepers of the Lost City series, so I hope to read at least books 2 and 3, which are Exile and Everblaze by Shannon Messenger, because book 9, Stellar Loon, is coming out, I want to say in November-ish, and I'd like to reread and refresh myself on this series to get ready for that release, because there are many details that I don't really remember. But Keeper of the Lost Cities is a middle grade series, very traditional urban fantasy middle grade type stuff, very a la Percy Jackson or Harry Potter, where we have our main character, Sophie Foster, is living among the humans, but is actually an elf and gets whisked away to the elven cities and enrolled in this magical elf school known as Foxfire. For reasons, there is some mysteries around Sophie's birth and who her parents are and why she is and the abilities that she has. And then we get to have just that fun world buildingness of finding out all about these hidden cities that the elves have been hiding from humanity and the history with the humans and other magical races. And it's just so good. If you're just looking for transportive, fun, adventure, middle grade fantasy, it doesn't get better than Keeper of the Lost Cities. Then the final thing kind of on my list, on my plan, is Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. I borrowed this from my friend Elle I went and visited her and her husband in Jashana last month, and so I borrowed some books while I was there, and so I need to read the books that I borrowed so I can send them back, right? I mean, that's how borrowing works. But so I'm going to be reading Six Crimson Cranes, which from every description I've ever heard her give, it's just fun adorableness. There's a princess whose 6 brothers get transformed into cranes by like evil stepmother, queen, I don't know. But if she talks, then one of them dies. And so it's like her journey to find her brothers and try to change them back from cranes. There's a bucket on her head. There's a animal-esque companion. The covers are gorgeous. Book 2, The Dragon's Promise, is coming out later this year. And so I just want to read something by Elizabeth Lim. I've never read anything by her. I know that this is set in the same world as her Spin the Dawn, Unravel the Dusk duology. I think it's like same universe, but not necessarily same characters. I don't really know. I also have the first book in that duology, so if I love this, maybe I'll pick that up too. But that is kind of it. I'm just we're chilling. In the month of July, I read a lot of chunky old tomes, 600, 700, 800 plus pages. And so in the month of August, we need the chill vibes. We need the kind of shorter, more fun reads, because I read a lot of kind of intense, depressing, epic fantasy. And so this month I kind of want a little bit more of a light smattering on the docket, and we'll see. I hope to get all of these and more, but you never know. Maybe I'll play a video game. Maybe I'll do something not just reading every second of my... Who knows? But let me know, what are some of the books that you're planning to pick up in August? And are you planning to join us for that Mistborn Era 2 read-along? I'm so excited to get back into this world. I just read Mistborn Era 1 in the month of July. And so I'm really excited to just continue the Mistborn train. If there's any of these books that you've read before and you want to share some thoughts, or if there's other things that kind of fit the chill vibes that you'd like to recommend me, please go ahead and drop down in the comments down below. And like always, while you're there, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already to see more bookish shenanigans like this from moi. Other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!